Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Sandy Allnock, and today we're going to talk about getting your drawing in proportion. I had a discussion with a student. I was trying to give her some feedback on a portrait she was working on, and she couldn't seem to get the proportions right. She was really struggling with it because the eyes were just not quite right. The nose would be a little off. The person looked a little heavier than they should have been, etc. And I recommended she try the grid method, and she rolled her virtual eyes at me in email. She said she hates the grid method. I do too. Don't like all those boxes across my paper. But there's a modified version that I want to show you and basically her that you don't have to have as many lines on. And you can use a basic tool that you probably already have in your studio to use with this to check your proportions without making all kinds of marks all over the paper. So let's start doing that with this dog. The tool that I typically use is a divider, and I have a couple different types. I'll do a whole video on those coming up. But today I just want to show you how to do it with a compass because I think everybody has a compass. And if you do, this is going to help save your bacon when it comes to creating a replica of your reference photo. And this one works with a 1-to-1 ratio. You're going to draw at the same size as the photograph. But this one, the photograph is shorter than my sketchbook page. So I want to make sure that I mark the top of it so that the X that I draw across the paper is going to be at the same angles. So I'm going to do that by just cutting off that top section. Now I can also only draw my X and my plus, my vertical and horizontal, for part of the image. I don't have to draw it in all that empty space and then have to worry about erasing all those lines. I can draw it just in the inner portion of the image itself. But I'm going to use the compass to measure, and not using math, but using eyeball, eyeball to measure an eyeball, I guess. But I'm using a compass to measure the distances. I can see how far it is from the interior line to the outside of the eyeball. I can measure the top of the eyelid. I can measure the top of the pupil, the top of the iris. I can measure all these different areas around the eye so that I get it correct. This particular photograph I chose because the eyes are so wonky. They're actually not at the same height, which I would not have known had I not gone through this exercise. I probably would have tried to draw them so that the two eyeballs are at the same height on the face, but the right one is lower than the left one. And they're also, shaped a little bit differently. And I can go through in great detail, making little tick marks around that eye until I get all those measurements in place, and then be able to just take my pencil and connect the dots. Like, it's that simple. Once you get it down to this, you can decide whether you feel confident drawing the inner portion of the eyeball to delineate the white space, or whether you want to do a measurement to see exactly where is that. And sometimes when you're drawing a portrait of a person, that can become really important because it'll show you where they're looking by how much of the white of the eye is showing. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other eye. Just going to measure all those different spots. And since this is a compass, it of course has a little pencil in it. So I can make those tick marks with that, or I can make them with the pencil that I'll be drawing with. Either one works just fine. Depending on what you're doing as well, you may not need to draw the angled lines, because there's sometimes when, too much is too much, and the horizontal and vertical might be all you need. And that saves you having more lines. The grid method, which I'll put a link in the doobly-doo and put the video on screen at the end of this one, I'll show you how I do the grid method. I don't do it very often just because it's got all those lines, but I had a huge drawing that I was enlarging, and that was the only way I could figure to do it. So I will show you that one at the end of this if you want more information on the grid method. But it does leave a lot of pencil all over your page because you draw every inch or every half inch, whatever measurement you decide. This method, you have much less of those lines to worry about. And you can also just focus on a few areas. If you want to only draw in, since you say you're worried about the lips of the person you're drawing, you can draw in the vertical and horizontal so that you can measure to the lips and get that right, and then start doing the rest of it freehand if you're comfortable with everything else. And there's sometimes also when I'm doing a drawing and I get my baseline drawing in and something just looks a little bit off, I'll take a piece of acetate over the top and I'll draw the vertical and the horizontal and the two angled lines and lay it over top of my drawing. And then I can start doing these measurements and see what's off. Like, where did I go wrong? And it's always really interesting to see that I thought I got the eyes in the right place, the right spacing away from the middle. But most often, my brain was telling me to make it symmetrical. And people are generally not symmetrical. That's why when you see a photograph of yourself from your selfie camera in your phone, it just doesn't look like you until you flip it left to right because you're used to seeing yourself the other direction. And it's because you're not symmetrical. This dog is not symmetrical. He's looking a little bit off to the side. The head is tilted just a little bit. So one eye is closer to the outside fur than the other. So there's a little more of the head showing on one side and the other. There's like all these little tiny differences that I would notice as I was drawing in things like the mouth and trying to figure out exactly where those elements go. I can do that easily by doing some quick measurements. And this took me, I think, about a half an hour to do all these measurements before I did the drawing. And given that the drawing took a long time, it was well worth it to spend this amount of time on getting some of these measurements down right so that then I could just proceed with the details. Depending on your level of experience, you might decide that you don't need as many lines to get your drawing started with, or you might need a lot more than I do. It's entirely up to you, but this method will work for whatever amount of lines that you want to have in there. But I generally am looking for areas where the line changes direction. So, if I can tell that the line joins up with something, like here it joins up with the jacket, and I want the space where the jacket starts, and then I'll mark where the jacket ends, where it kind of turns that corner to go down to the zipper. And I can continue that line across there. I'll modify all of these as I go, as I'm doing the drawing, but at least this gives me some kind of baseline to start from. This ear, I'm going to mark the outside where that outside part turns. I'll mark this place where the ear kind of flips over, and then I'll measure to make sure that I get it at the right place away from the line, the horizontal line. And then once I start getting all these things in place, I can just join all those lines and it turns into an ear once I get all that right. But I'm looking for shapes. And in the actual drawing of it, I get more into the shapes and I start really looking in great detail at what a shadow shape looks like. And there's a lot of triangles in this dog that you might not expect that are there. And every time you've got a triangle, you've got a place that you can mark one of those little tick marks and point out to yourself where it is. So when you get to that, as you're adding shading to it, you'll be able to kind of figure out where all those go. Now, some of these outer edges of the dog, I would put straight lines. Other times I put little furry lines. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. I was looking really for the proportions of the dog so I could get all of that in the right places. So when it came to the drawing itself, I didn't have to think about that. Because usually when I'm doing the drawing, I want to think about the textures. I want to think about the values. I want to turn my brain to all sorts of other things. I don't want to sit and worry about whether or not I've gotten, the collar in the right place. And here I can just make myself focus on the collar and the fact that that left part of the collar is right, hangs off the bottom of the page. And so I've measured and marked where those two things hang off the bottom. And I can do the same thing on the right side. I can see where the zipper falls, exactly where in between all these shapes the zipper pull is at. And once I've got a lot of this in there, I can start sketching in some of the other shapes. I don't have to measure everything. But once I've got the others, I can look where the eyeball is and say, okay, is it like, the little curve down on the other side of the nose? Does that line up with the middle of the eye? Because on one side it lines up with the middle of the eye, and the other side it lines up with the left eye, because they're all a little bit different. The pencil I'm using is called a lead holder, and it has these leads that are 2 millimeters instead of that tiny one that you get in a mechanical pencil. But it does mean it needs sharpened, and these little handheld sharpeners work just great. Spin them around, and they get super, super, super sharp. Blow off any of that excess, and boy, oh boy, is that sharp. And you can also use the powder that it creates inside that sharpener in drawing. So I'm using that one in combination with a 9B drawing pencil, Grafwood from Caran, because that's going to give me the darkest values. This dog is a dark dog, and I want to have some midtones in there. If I just used the 9B pencil, I would end up with a lot more texture in this drawing that I want. But with the really sharp lead holder pencil, that one is a 4B, it's going to give me both a midtone value across there, but it's also something I can use to fill in the gaps in where the 9B created texture. So I can really fill that in. I'm not going to use any solutions. I'm not going to use any blending stumps, nothing else on this drawing except these two pencils. And I like keeping my pencil drawings as simple as I can, especially when I'm working in a sketchbook. I don't need to get all the tools and blending stumps and everything. I can just use pencil itself. And the really sharp pencil is also going to give me some of the hairy, furry edges to this. Whereas the 9B pencil, I just have to keep sharpening. If I want to have something that's really going to stay sharp, I have to sharpen it all the time. So it's easier to do that using the 4B in the lead holder pencil. So I'm adding the values to this drawing in shapes. I'm looking for the shapes. And I don't mean I'm looking for circles. I'm looking for like, okay, there's a point that comes off of this part of the ear. There's a darker cluster of fur over there. There's all these bits of fur that come up from the nose, and they make a mass of darkness. So I'm looking for those overall shapes and trying to create what feels like what I see in the photograph. So just because I tell you all the time to look for shapes doesn't mean we're always looking for squares and cylinders, but just look for a shape. It might look like a butterfly wing or something, and you might need to pay attention to those kinds of shapes as you're talking to yourself in your head. But those shapes are what's going to make this dog look like this dog. If you'd like to see this dog a little bit slower and with a little more talking about what actually I'm doing here, then just become a member of my channel. It's just a couple bucks. And if you're interested in getting more on some of the videos that I do, I'm going to be taking some of the parts that I kind of feel I have to speed up because I'm getting penalized by YouTube. They're not sharing my videos if they're too long with the audience that I have, because apparently most people don't want long videos. But you can watch that in the members only section. And I'll be doing a few more of those coming up. So you'll be able to see what those are if you go to my channel page. You'll also get some emojis that just you get to use, little art emojis that I've designed for you. And on my Substack today, I'm going to list out all the things that I learned about this dog and his anatomy from doing these measurements. So if you think the measurement thing is kind of weird, that might help you to understand why it could be helpful to use this tool and do some measuring to get your proportions right. That list on Substack is free, so you can check that out. Links in the doobly-doo for that, for the supplies, all that good stuff. And I will see you again soon. Let me know if there's a topic you think I should cover when I do the video with the divider, showing you how to enlarge or reduce an image using that tool. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.